Howdy ho, and what do you know? And welcome back to the Tis It Is podcast. How are we doing tonight over there, my boy Treads? How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a extended period since we were last together, you and I, here in our virtual space. So happy to be back here with you, and happy to be back here with all 6 of our regular listeners.
Indeed, yeah. We had to take a week off. It was just a little crazy, a lot of traveling and stuff going on. But you know, we're doing this for y'all's entertainment. We know, I mean, we got all kinds of fans reaching out. All 6 of them were like, "Dude, what happened?"
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean that all 6 of them people that we see or talk to regularly, daily, were very concerned with the missing episode. I'm sure. So.
But we're back, baby, and badder than ever. We are tonight.
Badder than ever.
Badder than ever. We are tonight, baby. We are talking about something I'm very excited for. We are going to talk about, we're drafting our top 7 each character themes. I just think there's a lot of characters that, when you think of them, they have an iconic theme song. And a lot of people would recognize it and tie it to that character just by hearing a few notes even. So I think there's going to be a lot of... I think there could be definitely some that we fight over, like I'm reaching for and you're reaching for. But I think as we get towards the bottom of our lists, we're going to have some pretty unique picks, and I'm excited to see those.
No, absolutely. I mean, there are a couple that I fully expect you to want, and I've kind of basically told myself I'm just going to kind of cede to you and let you take them. I'm not even going to fight you for them necessarily. There are a couple that I hope to nab that I'm pretty sure you'll be interested in, and then I definitely have a couple that I doubt are on your list either. But I think this is a very interesting topic. Obviously, we've talked before about how both of us are big fans of, movie scores and things of that nature. We listen to those regularly. So I think it's a fun way to talk about some of those. I do think, though, it's an interesting topic it's an interesting one to define. And I think there might be a couple of times where we have to ask ourselves whether something is more so a character's theme or just, part of a larger score of a movie or something. Mm-hmm. So I think the definition could get a little bit dicey to see if we're on the same page exactly. But we'll kind of hash that out, I'm sure, as we walk through it. So looking forward to it.
I think there's definitely something. We'll just call it live. If one of us thinks, I'm sure I honestly have a whole separate draft of alts. So like we'll have things to slide in. I'm sure you have the same.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What you just said, though, I think is great. I honestly think we could do that in the future too. We could do a whole draft on like movie themes, because like the example we gave when we were talking about this was like Jack Sparrow. If you think of what Jack Sparrow's theme is, it's honestly probably just the overall Pirates of the Caribbean theme. He does technically have his own theme, but more than likely, I think most people, when they think like, "Oh, Jack Sparrow," like, no, that's just Pirates of the Caribbean. And there's a lot of examples of that, but also there's examples of just like movies like Jurassic Park has a fantastic theme. It is like the movie theme. Yes. So I think we could do that. Definitely. I mean,
honestly, most of my favorite movie scores in general probably aren't even eligible for this type of discussion today. Mm-hmm. Like you said, Jurassic Park is like an all-timer, but it's not like, it's not like the Tyrannosaurus Rex's theme or something.
Right.
And I was talking to my wife kind of in preparation for this about a couple picks and whether things fit in, and the way she was like, thinking about like that theme like cues up this character like that, like they're coming in, like this is their thing. Like that's kind of a good way to think about it, because, for example, my favorite movie franchise of all time, The Lord of the Rings, is, inarguably also one of my favorite scores of all time, but it's really one that really isn't eligible today, even though there are sections of the score that are literally tied like a character's name or something. Mm-hmm. But never do you hear that piece and you're like, oh, this is queuing up, Samwise Gamgee to come in and like do, like it's not necessarily that type of thing. So
right.
And even like I think there's a discussion, we talked about Jack Sparrow, thinking about like the Harry Potter theme.
Right.
There's never a part of that that's like this is Harry Potter's music. Like it's more so like attributable to the movie. Fantastic score. I know you're not a Harry Potter fan, but I like
the theme. The theme fits so well. It is so like whimsical.
Yeah.
Like it just sounds wizardly,
Yeah, especially those, John Williams did it for the first, I believe it's only the first 2 movies. It might be the first 3, I don't remember. And those are the ones that it's such like a nostalgic feeling and just so magical. And we won't get into Harry Potter right now, but there is something you said in your other podcast once when you were talking about Harry Potter. You mentioned the only scene you had seen was children frolicking in the woods. So as someone who has seen Harry Potter multiple times, I want to just say, I don't think you've seen Harry Potter, because that's not,
I don't know. I might not have. It might not have been. All I know is on the TV, there was like two children. They looked young, so I figured it was like, and I don't think one of them was Harry, because I know what Harry Potter looks like. Could I pick you out, Ron? Probably not, but like, whatever. But they were young, and they were like in the woods, and they were like flicking they had like little sticks, little wand-looking things, and they would like flick their wrist, and there would be like no effect, which I think most times there are, right? There's like a little lightning bolt off the wand or like whatever. And nothing would happen, just like poofs of like leaves, like they were like play fighting or something, and somebody hit the guide button, and it said a Harry Potter title. That said, I have seen, I don't know about you, but I have seen instances of like your guide box just being entirely wrong on what you're apparently watching. So
I'm pretty sure you were watching Bridge to Terabithia.
Honestly, like, I'm not gonna. I have looked for it. I have looked for that scene. I can't find it. So I don't know what.
It sounds like something. I'm like, I sincerely do not know what you're referring to there, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
It very well might
One of these days, we're going to get you to sit down and watch a Harry Potter movie and see what you think.
It's one of those things where, like, it's not as an adult that I'm like, oh, that looks stupid. Obviously, I won't have the nostalgia that a lot of people will like, watching that time. So it's not like, I'm not like, I will never watch Harry Potter. I would. There's a lot of things, like, on my watch list that I would rather watch, obviously. But
absolutely. I get it.
That's how everything works, so.
Yep.
All that to say, if you're familiar with the way we do drafts around these parts, is the way we do it is normally we have some kind of game, and the winner of said game gets to pick whether they want the first overall pick in the draft, or if they want to secede and then have picks 2 and 3. Which, buddy, honestly, the more I think about that, the more like, is that too overpowered? Are we kind of overpowered that? Because I think every time that's what I'm going to pick is to have picks 2 and 3. I don't know.
It's interesting because I think I've had the option twice, and I've both times picked the first pick, I think. So I think it really is depending. It depends on whether you have one that you're like, I can't live without this, or whether you're like, I'll give you one, but then I get 2 of my, you're guaranteed 2 of your top 3 regardless.
True.
So that's huge. So I think I honestly think it's a decent way. Like, I think there's times where I'd prefer either one of them. So I like it fine. But this time, I told you that I would prepare the game basically for you to play. We got to figure out some way at some point in time for us to compete in something. Yeah. But it'd be hard for one of us to prepare the game. So essentially, I hope I might have made this too hard. Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know what to expect. And if I give you the layout of this and you're like, I have no shot, then we can adjust that parameters or
just
something.
Scrap it entirely.
Yeah.
Your idea sucks. Next.
So essentially, what I've done to kind of continue our love letter to movie scores and the composers of those scores, I've kind of done something with that. So what I've done here, I have 7 composers that I know that you are very well familiar with, whether by their name or I will list a few of their works that you know all of these composers.
Right.
And something interesting about all of them is at some point in their careers, a few of them multiple times, they have all worked on animated projects. So I'm also going to list you 7 animated movies and see if you can match the composer to the movie.
Ooh.
Now, it might be very hard. Like, I honestly didn't know what to expect because I know, as we both do, you do listen to film scores
a lot.
So like you might literally see one pop up. You're like, oh, that's in my regular rotation. I know this immediately.
Right.
Or some of them have there are some, I think, some low-hanging fruit, but it might be differences on how you and I think about movies. Because, for example, there's a composer who works very closely with a certain director, and if you know that connection, you're going to know that movie has to be that person's. Or this person works with this animation studio a lot, therefore I think this might... So there might be some of that, or even generationally, even this movie's older, this composer did older movies, but I will warn you against that. There's a lot of overlap. Some of these guys have worked for decades.
Right.
So like there's overlap in all these.
Right.
But I thought it'd kind of be a fun way to go through this. So first, I will introduce your players.
I love it. This is great.
So this will be fun. And so I was thinking there's 7 of them. So I don't know what initially we should set the bar. If you should get 4 of these 7, you win. If you get less, or maybe that's 2. I might list these. You're like, there's no way I get more than 2. Right. We'll have to see what happens.
Okay.
I'm rooting for you though, so this will be fun. So first up, we have Danny Elfman, a composer I know you're a fan of. Uh-huh. He's known for all of his Tim Burton work, Spider-Man, all kinds of good stuff. Next, we have Hans Zimmer, one of the unquestioned GOATs.
Daddy Hans.
We have my GOAT, John Williams.
Oh, he's got to be up there. Got to be.
Brilliant one. We have Alan Silvestri, who I'm sure you know, Avengers, Back to the Future, Night at the Museum. All these guys have long lists of stuff they've worked on. We have Jerry Goldsmith, who Alien, Gremlins, Planet of the Apes, a lot of big stuff. And then we have James. Actually, we have 2 Jameses. The last 2 are both James.
Okay.
We have James Horner, who did Aliens, the sequel, Titanic, Avatar, Braveheart, and your favorite of this list, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Wow.
The Jim Carrey one.
Okay. What a random list.
And then James Newton Howard coming in with the final one. He's a frequent collaborator of M. Night Shyamalan, so Unbreakable, Signs, honestly most of his stuff, The Village, Sixth Sense. He did the Dark Knight trilogy with Hans Zimmer, so they both worked on that. So those are, another one's done a lot of movies, but those are some ones I know you're familiar with. So those are your 7 players, and I can remind you of those if you
Yes, I definitely want to reminders.
That's fine. And so now your 7 animated movies that each one of these corresponds with one of these composers. We have Madagascar, The Adventures of Tintin.
Oh, God.
Lilo and Stitch. The Land Before Time.
Oh. Go.
Secret of Nim. Atlantis, The Lost Empire. And Meet the Robinsons.
Oh, my God.
I know there's a couple of these that you might not be familiar with at all. Some of these were hard for me because the composer might have only worked on 1 or 2 animated movies. Some of them they've worked on 10 plus. So I was trying to pick ones that I know you're familiar with for a few, and a couple are definitely be ones you might not know as well.
This is tough. I'm kind of kicking myself because, first off, like even ones that I listen to, my top 2 are Hans Zimmer and John Williams, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I can't at this moment be like, oh yeah, I can't even pick out like which one they might have done. For some reason, I guess it's just because of Jurassic Park. I'm thinking Land Before Time has to be John Williams too. He just did dinosaurs. Like, guy just loves dinosaurs.
His thing. Yeah.
But like certain things like Lilo and Stitch, I promise you, I have some of the Lilo and Stitch soundtrack like in my liked songs on Spotify. Same thing for Meet the Robinsons. I have it in my liked songs. So the fact that I'm like, oh, I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough. I know a couple of these.
Can I have the list of directors again? Let me put this side by side. Hang on. We've got Hans Zimmer. We got John Williams. Danny
Elfman. Alan Silvestri.
Yep.
Jerry Goldsmith. James Horner. And James Newton Howard.
I'm definitely most concerned about the James.
That's fair.
Most concerned about the Jameses for sure. I'm thinking that Alvin, I can't remember how you say his last name. You just now said it then?
Silvestri. Yeah.
I'm thinking he did Meet the Robinsons.
How do we want to do? Do you want to lock? Do you want to?
Let me like type that out, and then like I will say like I want to lock that in whenever I think for sure. For some reason, I'm trying to remember what because it's literally in my like songs, so I'm trying to think of what it says down there at the bottom whenever I'm listening to it.
It's almost impossible because even I listed these out, and a few of these were surprises to me. And some of them I was like, I would be able to, which again, like I'm not saying that you know these movies less or know these composers less because of this, but a couple of them, I'm like, oh, I know X directed that movie, and I know that director worked with this composer on 20 projects, so therefore I can link them. But that's like, I'm not saying I expected you to necessarily.
Wait, did Alvin do Lilo and Stitch? I'm trying to think. This is so random. I think this is a thing that we can agree on, though. If you listen to a certain composer across different movies, they could be vastly different movies, but you'll recognize like a certain note or something, or a certain symphony. You're like,
so many of them have used,
And I think I remember even sending you, I was like, this sounds like Avengers, or this sounds like something, and it was from Lilo and Stitch. Oh, it's so stupid, but this is what I'm thinking. Do you remember in Lilo and Stitch whenever it's when the rescue mission happens and the big red wing of Jumba's ship is like peeking up through the cloud? That like rescue theme, dude, that's the one that's in my like songs. Fantastic. And that sounds so much. The horns in that sound just like Avengers. I'm going to lock in. Tell me if you can go and tell me if this is wrong, and obviously I'll be 0 for 1. I'm going to lock in that Alvin did Lilo and Stitch.
You got it.
Yes!
Bang. That was impressive. I didn't even think of that connection listening that, but that one, that's impressive. Proud of you for that one.
If you listen to it's literally, it's like I said, like the certain notes. If you listen to like the first 4 notes of it, it's like bum 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 bum. It sounds kind of Avengers-y. It really does,
dude. All these composers do that to like. I mean, I know the biggest one to me, and it doesn't necessarily taint the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack, but Hans Zimmer, literally that's Gladiator sound. Like it is the score from Gladiator, and then so to make it. It's like one of the most, I think, recognizable scores for big movies now is from Pirates. And I'm like, the fact that is first used in Gladiator. It's not like Gladiator's some little movie either. No. It won Best Picture. Russell Crowe won Best Actor for that. Like, it was a huge movie.
Very well known.
And he literally lifted the score. It's insane. That is absolutely insane.
It's funny, but it's also like not at the same time. Like it's just a thing.
It's wild. How to get away with that? But it's great in both places. It's a great score.
Oh, absolutely. So next I'm trying to pinpoint Danny Elfman. And I feel like Danny Elfman has always worked on something that's kind of weird. And I will say I've never seen Tintin. I've never heard of The Secret of NIMH until you just said it. And I never watched Atlantis. So I'm definitely thinking he did one of those.
All right, so I'm trying to I'm willing to give you some hints a little bit just on Secret of NIMH's a little older. I don't remember. It might have been like 80s-ish. It might be the oldest animated movie on this list I've given you.
I don't want to Google it because I figure I might see it. So I don't want to Google like what it looks like.
It's have you ever seen like the animation style of like what's that little like Faisal, the little like mouse with the big ears? Like I don't know. It's similar to the animation style is. I kind of like it, but it's a little different. It's like not like your classic like Disney animation. Looks a little different. Okay. I read the book in like grade school, and I like The Secret of NIMH a lot. And then I will give you this as well because I didn't know if you were familiar with Atlantis. The same composer, so you could, if you want to sub this movie out, also did Treasure Planet. He did both Atlantis and Treasure Planet, 2 Disney movies that kind of flew under the radar a little bit. So both those, and then. I will give you, I don't know if this is going to help you at all. This might be a huge hint. It might be nothing. Adventures of Tintin was directed by Steven Spielberg. It was like a motion capture-ish animation directed by Steven Spielberg in like 2010s or something. That might not help you. It might be the biggest hint I could have ever given.
Right. I don't know. Because I'll be honest, that is definitely one thing that I don't pay attention to is like composers with directors. That's definitely more up your alley. I want to say that Meet the Robinsons. I really want to nail that down because I feel like I know it. Maybe that's Hans Zimmer. I feel like if he's so random, I feel like it's Hans Zimmer normally does like epic. I don't think Meet the Robinsons is that epic. But I gotta start picking here. We're gonna take forever on this.
The whole episode.
You said Secret of Nim is older. I'm gonna solely using that hint because I don't know otherwise. I'm gonna say that's Jerry Goldsmith.
That's correct.
Wow. Well, I only got that because of your hint, so thanks.
It's fine. I'm rooting for you, honestly. As I made this, I'm making this too hard, but I was having fun with it, so.
Okay, so we got two. Land Before Time. I feel like Steven Spielberg, that's going to be a Hans Zimmer, John Williams. I don't know either of these Jameses, though. These Jameses might be like a dead giveaway.
And we have James.
And we have James. The fact that it might be a dead giveaway to somebody right now. Like, they're screaming, it's James Horner!
Now, those are definitely more... I mean, they're very well-known composers, but they're not your John Williams or Hans Zimmer. So maybe I should have made this a 3 out of 5, but I was having too much fun with it, so I added a couple more.
I gotta start just rolling through some of these, whether right or wrong. So I'm just gonna go in my gut for the third time. Meet the Robinsons. Give me. Never mind. Oh, this sucks. I was gonna say Danny Elfman, but it just doesn't sound weird enough to be Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman, the Tim Burton stuff is definitely weird, but Danny Elfman's Spider-Man score is
epic.
Not necessarily weird, but it's really good.
Yeah.
He's just a good... Danny Elfman's very good.
I feel like either Hans or Danny did Meet the Robinsons, because I feel like when I saw it, it was a director I recognized, or it was a composer I recognized. And I just told you I've never heard of these James. I already got Alvin and Jerry out. I don't think it's John Williams. Give me Danny Elfman to Meet the Robinsons.
Bang. Got it.
Whoa!
You're killing it.
My gut almost led me wrong. Okay. Okay, here's where, the luck's going to run out here. Madagascar and Land Before Time are the only movies that I have a chance with here. I'm going to say that I'm going to do what I did earlier, as stupid as it may be. I'm going to say John Williams did Land Before Time.
First miss.
Hey, beautiful. I honestly needed that. Who did Land Before Time?
All right, Land Before Time was James Horner.
James Horner. Get out of here, James Horner. Okay. So James Horner is out. James Newton. Can you give me real quick again what James Newton Howard had done?
All the M. Night Shyamalan movies, essentially. He did King Kong, the 2000s King Kong movie, and he worked with Hans Zimmer on the Dark Knight trilogy.
Did he do Tintin?
Nope.
Dang it! Who did Tintin?
Wait. If I give you this, how many do we have?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You can't do that.
I just don't want to.
You need to tell me what James Newton Howard did, I guess. No, you don't need to do that either. That's helping me. So we shouldn't have done it just now, I guess. Yeah. You shouldn't be giving me
Land Before Time. I guess it's fine. I essentially eliminated... Yeah, that's fine, though.
All I know is that James Newton Howard did not do Tintin, I guess.
Correct.
Did Hans Zimmer somehow do Madagascar?
He did.
Oh, my gosh.
Dude, Hans Zimmer, he's like the DreamWorks guy. He did Megamind, Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, Prince of Egypt, Shark Tale.
I knew he did Prince of Egypt and Kung Fu Panda. I couldn't have told you those other ones.
I thought those two would be, and obviously his biggest one, I think, that people would know animation is Lion King. That's like the Hans Zimmer big animation movie. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to. I felt like Madagascar was obscure enough to where I didn't know if you'd know, but I thought you might connect. I know he did these other DreamWorks movies, therefore I thought you might go that route.
Nice.
But you got there regardless. So I think that's your fourth one. I'm willing to just give you the win at this point. The ones you did not quite land on, James Newton Howard did Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Treasure Planet. John Williams, frequent collaborator with Steven Spielberg, did Adventures of Tintin.
Okay.
And I believe that's all of them. Yeah, so that's all of them. I thought that was kind of fun. Sorry it took too much time, but
no, it was great.
Yeah,
I thought it was fantastic. I'll have to organize a game next, but dude, that's better than any game I could have thought of. That was fantastic. That was really fun.
Good deal. Proud of you. I'm still impressed with the Avengers to Lilo and Stitch connection you made.
I'll have to send you what I'm talking about.
To give you the win.
It's great. That is genuinely what made me think of it. That's great.
That was great.
So now
you, my friend, have earned the hard decision, or maybe it's not hard, depending on what you said a little bit ago. So.
My number one, I want so badly. I want so badly to have my number one. But do I secede two to you? I'm going to. I want to take first overall pick, baby. I want it.
Okay. All right.
Here we
Big
go.
Time.
The first overall pick in the character theme draft. I'm taking the theme song that has been my alarm for 7 straight years. The Superman theme song. Is that bad?
Yep. I would have done the same thing. I wanted the number one pick to take that one.
That was
for sure.
Oh god,
Yeah.
I'm so happy I did it.
Yeah, smart.
I was
move.
so worried. It is to me like I don't know. I don't want to say it's the perfect theme song, but I think it might be. It gives me anyway. It gives me chills. Listen to it. I freaking love it. It's like a lot of great theme songs where I think it kind of changes slightly throughout the history of this character who's been around for 100 years. I just love it. I love it so much. It is sincerely my alarm every single day. It's a Superman theme. And when I just wake up to the just that little tidbit. Oh, I freaking love it, dude.
Dude, and I think of all we could say this about almost all these that we'll talk about, I'm sure, but I think this one more than any just like fits the character. Like it feels like the embodiment of what Hope would sound like in musical form.
It does.
Or something. Like I love that so much. I think that alone is just like you hear those notes and it's just like you literally feel uplifted. Like you could fly almost. Like, It's insane. So yeah, that would have been my number one as well. So kudos to you for going against your own what you said a little bit ago that you would always take 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Smart move to go against that. Yeah,
I didn't want to give it up. That's another. It's an example too. I don't know if there's ever been lyrics of any kind to Superman theme. I don't think so. I love it when a theme, bum ba bum. I just assume you're saying Superman in those 3 notes, and I love when themes do that. When there's not lyrics, but you can kind of like da da da. You can put words to the little. I love it. I love it so much.
Great stuff. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for me to on it. That was my unquestioned number one, and then after that, I just have a whole bunch of like this one would be fine for me to like. I'd like this one. I'd like this one.
Okay.
I don't have like so really it didn't shake out too well for me here because getting the 2 and 3 is not necessarily all that.
You say that. I promise you're gonna snipe one of mine. I promise you are.
I don't know, man. I really doubt it. I feel like I'm just gonna take a couple that I obviously want. And I think these. I mean. So many great ones. You just took John Williams with your first one there. And I think John Williams will be a frequent person on this list. I'm going to go ahead and take another John Williams, just another one that I think is iconic. And I'm going to take Indiana Jones with the second pick.
Great pick.
Yeah, fantastic. I know you're not like necessarily, I don't even know if you've seen the Indiana Jones movies. Not that you're not a fan, I don't think you've visited them really.
Exactly.
But it's another one that like, regardless of whether you have seen the movies, 20 times like so many people have or more or 0, like that theme and exactly what it is within the first 2 notes or something.
You do.
It is like the kind of how the Superman theme we said was hope in musical form. The Indiana Jones theme is adventure in musical form.
Exactly.
That's just like what that is.
Yeah.
It feels like you're kicking off a big adventure. And I don't know. I love it. It's, there's a little bit of variations between the different Indiana Jones movies, but it's always that same exact, like, central musical number. I think it's fantastic. And, it's a character that I love. It's a franchise that I love. And I love the music. So I am more than happy to get that one on my list here. Again, I don't know the likelihood of any of these where you would have taken them. So I'm not necessarily thinking in that mindset, but I'm happy to have it. So, number 2, Indiana Jones. And then, third pick. There's 2 directions I kind of could go. I'm trying to think of which one's less likely to be your next one. I don't think either one of these necessarily will be your next one. But just to combat your Superman pick, I'm actually going to go to Batman.
Okay.
And take Danny Elfman's Batman.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think I don't like it quite as much. Like that Superman one, like we both said, is just like one of our all-time favorites. But I think the Batman theme is also just super iconic from those Tim Burton Batman movies. It's not even though it's a Tim Burton movie, that first Batman movie is not necessarily like super Tim Burton weird. Batman Returns is very weird. I rewatched it last week actually, and I was like, this is a weird movie, but in some fun ways.
Yeah.
But that Batman theme is really, really good. It's another one has outlived even just those couple movies. Like it's like the Batman theme you kind of hear associated with the character all the time. Mm-hmm. In the Flash movie last summer when Michael Keaton's Batman is kind of reintroduced, you hear the Batman theme.
It kept playing. Oh, yeah. It's so good.
It's great. It just is kind of that nostalgic, like, yes, like this is a superhero, like it. I feel like superhero movies have largely kind of gotten away from like a very recognizable theme for one character like that. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily get that quite as much. Yeah. So it kind of takes you back to that era. And so just so you don't end up with both Superman and Batman on your list, I'll go ahead and nab that one with my second pick.
A very nice pick. I love it. I love it so much. My 2 and 3, my top 3 were the 3 that I'm like, he might pick these. And my 2 and 3 are still on the board. I feel like if I...
Wow. Okay.
I feel like whatever I take now, you might take the other one next. I really do.
I don't really have much of a strategy here, so maybe not.
I am going to take... And again, like we said this before we recorded, if you just sat us down individually and said, pick your top favorite themes, it's not going to end up in this exact order. Would Superman be my number 1? Yes, it would. But some of these other ones, I would put others well above it. It's just I fear that you might take it, and I do want it on my list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So with my second pick, I'm going to take a character that appeared on our last video, if I'm not mistaken. Give me Jaws.
Ah, yep.
I do think Jaws, we talked about there being like a movie theme versus a character theme, but I think what you said beforehand is perfect. Like, it's queuing up the shark.
Yep.
It is queuing up. Yep. Here he comes, and troubles are brewing. I went through so many different themes, and I re-listened to them like before I made my list to decide my weight of what I cared about more. I think the Jaws theme, and honestly, might land there on my personal list as well. It is so good. It is so unique. Mm-hmm. I think it's so universally known, and people will do that. If you're just like sneaking up on somebody, dun 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 dun, that's what it is. Everybody knows that's what it is. It's so good, dude. It is such a good theme. I love it.
It's so simple, like those notes. Like, it's not like this crazy. It builds, obviously, but I mean, we just keep saying this, but I'm going to say this for every entry. But like, if music is the personification or something of one thing, that's like danger in musical form. Like, I've got to stop saying this for every one of these, but it is. It's so perfect. It was on my list. I honestly thought I might be able to snipe it kind of later. I didn't know if you'd think of him as like a character.
Right.
But I absolutely was going. That was one that I was planning to take later. So yeah, great pick. When my wife and I were talking about that, that's one of the examples we use, exactly like you said, queuing up that character. Like, every time you hear that, the shark is around. Like,
right.
It's like, uh-oh, like
it's so good.
About to go down.
Just raises the heart rate, like really gets you into it. I love it. It's so good. So
shout out to Bruce the Shark for
twice
back-to-back appearances on.
Will he go 3 for 3?
Something tells me it's gonna be hard. We'll see. Maybe the next one's like underwater.
Our favorite aquatic characters.
Favorite characters with the dorsal fin.
I love it, buddy. I'm excited now to see what you have for 3. I'm excited to see what.
Oh yeah, it's back to me. And like I said, dude, I really don't think I'm gonna be like snipe anything from you, because this order of mine, I don't really have much of one. I'm just gonna. All right, I'm gonna take another one that's just instantly recognizable. This isn't necessarily a character that's like a personal favorite of mine, or a franchise that's a personal favorite. I think it's fine, but the music is top notch. Give me the theme from Rocky.
Ooh.
I think that Rocky theme is the quintessential like workout music.
Oh.
Honestly, it really is. It'll get your heart thumping immediately. It's inspirational. And like I said, Rocky as a franchise is one that I like fine. It's not like my favorite. Sylvester Stallone's really hit or miss for me with his performances. But I enjoy the Rocky franchise, and especially there's some music throughout the whole franchise that it's phenomenal. But that main Rocky theme, I'm happy to get it here, and I'm happy to have that represented on my list.
That's a great pick, dude. It was on my list, and like I literally at the last second like swapped it out and slid in an alt. It's just it's like I feel like we're gonna say this about every single one, but it is that character. It is Rocky, like that fighting spirit, like is what that is. I don't know. It's just so good.
Yeah,
it is. I love it. I love the ties to the character. It feels like it really like personifies, if that makes any sense. Rocky is the personification of that music, if that makes sense. It's kind of the it's
absolutely
done the other way around, I guess. But that's great. I love that.
Good. So you're gonna end up with your top 3 picks at this point.
I am, and I'm kind of excited.
Insane.
I'm kind of excited, but I'm kind of not. Like, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, is my 3 that strong? I feel like Superman and Jaws are pretty strong. I'm like, is this 3?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
I feel like this 3rd is a pretty big step down, but it's the last one on my list, and I'm like, he might have that at some point. He might have it as round 7, but I want it. Okay. You mentioned it earlier. Shout out Danny Elfman. I want the Sam Raimi, Danny Elfman Spider-Man theme. I think that, like, and again, like, this is where, like, I could understand an argument for, like, well, that's the movie theme. I kind of think it is his theme. It plays every time he comes swinging into action, especially in Spider-Man 3. He's been gone, literally like retired or whatever, and then here he comes, like, and the theme blasts, and whenever he lands right in front of the American flag, dude, it's so cool. Like,
yeah, so, that's great.
I love that theme.
I literally Spider-Man was on my list, and I was gonna like have to bring up like, if there's only a definitive theme, is the definitive Spider-Man theme like the old like Spider-Man? I was like, so that's the only reason I didn't know. I was like, right. I kind of had an asterisk beside him, like, if is that Spider-Man's theme? Is it? So I didn't know, but I mean, I'm not gonna throw a challenge flag or anything like that one. I think that's a good pick. Like, it's kind of in that part of my list where it's like, depending on what was picked,
right?
Throw them out there,
right?
So yeah, no notes. So back to me. I want to get this is one that I doubt you had on your list at all. I know it's a franchise you're not necessarily have seen much or any of, but it's a character everyone knows about. Again, give me James Bond. Think that's it's just a very good. It feels very retro because it goes back such a long way.
Right.
I have the composer Monty Norman. I meant to be saying the composers. I went here to give them some shout outs. Honestly, not familiar with any of his other work, but again, goes back older. So that's another one that everyone knows that. It's just iconic. So, right. Yeah, so I'm kind of happy. I have a few of those between Indiana Jones and James Bond, Rocky. I feel like I have some good, iconic characters that are associated with an iconic theme there. So I'm happy with how those landed for me, even though I don't think I was necessarily sniping anything from what you wanted.
James Bond was great. I think it wasn't on my list, but I think it's a great pull. We keep saying this for every single one. If you're doing this, like, you do this theme, like, you just know. I feel like if you're sneaking around, whatever, there's one of 2 themes you're going to do. James Bond or Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
That's what everybody does. They
Absolutely.
know it. That is the character. That is the franchise. So, yeah. Dude, I think you have a stacked list of iconic characters already. Like that, your top.
We both. I mean, there's so many that we're both gonna have some pretty elite lists. I feel like.
I think so. That said, my next one, I couldn't let him slide any longer. This is not gonna be a popular pick, but this is my personal pick. Give me the G-Man. Give me Godzilla, baby. Yeah. It's like the Superman theme where I think literally last week Godzilla turned 70 years old. There's been different variations of it as it's gone. I honestly love every single one of them. Even Godzilla King of the Monsters, which came out in 2019. I think Alan, what's his name, did that? No, I'm sorry. Bear McCreary. Bear McCreary did that. He also did like the God of War games. I don't know what else he's done a whole lot, but Bear McCreary did those, and I love it. He took the old theme, kind of revamped it, made it modern. I love it. The moment those, I don't know if they're tubas technically, I don't know what they are, but I call them the horns. The moment the horns kick in, whoa, you know he's coming. I freaking love it, dude. It's the first part of it's kind of like slow and epic, but then it builds up to kind of fast paced and action packed or whatever. This is where what I said earlier, where if you told me my favorite themes, Godzilla would probably be like number 2. He's way up there. But I didn't think there was a high chance of you picking him, so I wanted him to go a little longer. But I didn't want to. I got just for the love I have for the character, I had to pick him a little early.
Yeah, no, I love it. I obviously am much newer to all the Godzilla stuff than you are. You know, have been a huge fan for years and years. I've kind of just more so in the past year really seen a lot, you know, kind of taken a little bit of a dive into some of the different movies. I've seen the original and a handful of the others in between. But I think the score is great. I think it's even like in -1, the way that score is great. So yeah, I that's one that I knew without a shadow of a doubt you were going to take that. And I just out of the goodness of my heart, I wasn't going to touch it. I was going to let you have that one. I do think it's great, but it would have felt weird to look at the final list and me have that on my list and you not. So I'm just going to let him take that whenever he wants it and count that as a a spot that I don't have to worry he's taking something else I wanted. So good pick.
It's exactly one that I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about whenever I say for me too. There's one that I'm like, he can have it. It's iconic and he can have it whenever he wants because he's got a lot more love for that character than I do. So I'm expecting that choice to show up here on yours at some point, but we'll see.
Interesting. I think I might know who it is, so we'll see. Yeah. Maybe I should save that one then.
Yeah.
Getting tough here. All right, I'm gonna take one that I didn't necessarily see myself taking this, but the way you've taken a couple that I did, hope to be able to nab.
No, I am taking one of your favorites.
I am going to take Michael Myers.
Halloween. That was my next pick. That was my next one.
Oh, so sorry.
No,
so sorry.
that's really great. I love it.
Yeah, it is so good. It's you're a bigger horror movie fan than me, as we've discussed multiple times now on this. You're bigger into Michael Myers and Halloween than I am, but unquestionable, undeniable how great that theme is for that type of character. Anytime you're watching another slasher, like that part of your brain's like, this scene would be a little bit better if we had the Halloween theme. Like, yeah, it's that good. It is nothing else is going to touch it. As far as that type of theme and what those scenes build up, it just instantly makes every scene just feel more suspenseful, and it's great. It is absolutely perfect for what it is, and yeah, love it. Happy to have it.
It's one of those themes where I think with every movie, it's slightly different. And I, again, love every single one of them. Like, they'll slightly tweak what instrument is louder or whatever at this part. Or in one of the trailers for one of the new ones, it's just like a violin, it sounds like, doing the whole thing. And it sounds so good. It sounds so good. Obviously, it's normally like the piano. Everybody recognizes the piano. But when you throw in like a cello doing like the thing, it's still so good. Like, I freaking love it. It is so... it's
great. I'm a sucker for piano. Like, one thing that in a score, like, heavy piano will get me every time. Like, that's like, I gravitate toward that. So that might be a big part of why I love it so much. That piano, that's, like you said, kind of the norm. But yeah, wonderful.
That's great, dude. What a great pick. That was sincerely my number 5. So now I'm gonna have to do some shuffling here. I'm gonna have to pull from my alts. I feel like all my alts are kind of weaker, so I might save those for later. But then again, I'm having a dip to my 6th pick and bump everything up. So I'm going to pick one that I don't even know. Honestly, I'm going to say this, and off the top of your head, you might not even know what I'm talking about. I'm going to take the Bowser theme from Mario. And from that, what I mean, this could be one that you could potentially throw a flag on, because in literally every single Mario game you play, the theme song that plays when you fight Bowser is different in every single game. What has stayed the same since 1989 is his airship theme, which is always whenever he first shows up. He first shows up and he's got like his armada with him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if I played it for you, I'm sure you would recognize it. It is, again, like, it plays every time he shows up, and that has happened in like every game since. The Bowser airship theme is my favorite video game theme of all time. I think it's fantastic. I begged for them whenever they were teasing the Mario movie that came out a few years ago. I was like, please give us the Bowser theme. And they did. It was literally like, I think it's quite literally like the first theme in the whole movie. 5 seconds in, they gave it to us. Thank you. It was fantastic. I love that theme.
Yeah, so this is the first one that, off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what it sounds like. Like you said, if I heard it, I might recognize it.
Yeah.
I kind of like, branching out of like instead of picking something out of like established from a movie, getting something else. I thought about that myself. Like, is there a TV character, or video game character, or something? And nothing like really jumped out at me. I did think about my favorite video game franchise, Uncharted, and that theme is really good. But I was like, I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't know. I didn't really write it down or anything.
Right.
But I love that you did go the video game route for one, and I'll have to look up the theme later to listen to it because I'm sure it's great. But yeah, so good pick.
Thank you. Now we're on to your sixth pick, pal.
Sixth pick. So I am going to take the character I can only assume is the one that you said you were potentially leaving for me, which I assume would be Darth Vader.
Indeed.
Give me that Imperial March.
Iconic.
John Williams' whole Star Wars score is really just incredible when you think of how many different sections of that score are just like unanimously known by people is kind of wild.
Right.
And I think that one is up there among the most iconic pieces of just like, it feels less like, the big bad villain evil. Like it just, it perfectly captures that. And growing up, I was obsessed with Star Wars. My dad was a big fan. We kind of all grew up big Star Wars fans. I've kind of broken away a little bit from pure love for it, but I will always, always, always hold a lot of love for, especially the original trilogy in my heart. And anytime I hear any piece of that score, it's takes me back and it's very nostalgic. So definitely happy to get Vader this far down on the list. I didn't know exactly where it would go, so thank you for throwing me the bone and letting me take that one late.
I think that has already officially sealed you as the victor here, sir. I really do. I mean, you got Indiana Jones, Danny Elfman's Batman, Rocky, James Bond, Michael Myers, Darth Vader. I think you've won. I don't know. That's insane.
I think it's a pretty heavyweight matchup.
Well, I say that because now it's my sixth, and I promise you my sixth is not going to be on par with Darth Vader. I promise it's not. I'm trying to decide what I want to do, who I want to shuffle in. I'm going to take, this was my last pick, and for some reason, I think there is a 2% chance that you take this character. So I want to take it. This is the one, I would say. If there's any character on this list that you want to, or a pick on this list that you're going to throw a flag on, it could be this one. The only reason that I am going to argue that I can pick it is because if you Google this character theme on YouTube, that's what pops up is what I'm referencing. I'm like, okay, I think it's a thing. I want Buzz Lightyear. And I think what I'm talking about specifically is, it's basically the entire opening of Toy Story 2. If you search Buzz Lightyear theme, that's what pops up. It's a little different. It's a little longer, I guess, technically. The upbeat, the drums, the trumpets. Da, 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 da. I love them, dude. You watch the Toy Story 2 opening. It's one of the best openings ever. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating. Yeah. It really is. I freaking love it.
One of the best movies ever.
Yeah, it really is. So like I feel comfortable calling that the Buzz Lightyear theme. He's got like a little fanfare that plays pretty often whenever he's around or whatever, and it's in that theme. So basically, I'm taking the opening to Toy Story 2 because that is the Buzz Lightyear theme. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll challenge that necessarily. I do think when you hear that, like, of the Toy Story music, like, that is undoubtedly, like, that's Buzz's music. When you hear that, like, it feels that way.
Right.
So I think that's perfectly valid. I love it. It wasn't even on my radar, honestly. But if I would have thought about it, it very well might have been on my radar because we've both talked a lot about that movie, and Toy Story 2 is my favorite, and that opening scene is phenomenal. It's one of the reasons that is my favorite.
Yeah.
So, and that score is just perfect for it. So yeah, I love it.
Great. I appreciate it.
Love it. Oh, so my last pick. So if my list was looking strong so far, I'm just going to take a wild one to end it here, I think.
Okay.
Just a fun one. I'm taking, to kind of counterbalance my James Bond pick, I'm taking Austin Powers. Also, second time Austin Powers has showed up on a random list for me, which is very random. Very random.
I don't even know if I know that.
But it's kind of like a little, I don't know, it's fun. It fits Austin Powers because it feels like you're like old, like kind of like spy theme, but then just like not at all. Like the da 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 da. It's just like, I don't know. it's kind of fun. Whole opening scene is really fun. Just kind of like a little like dance number type thing.
I didn't know that was it. It was one of those things where I had heard about it, and know that was him. Yes, I
oh yeah, you've heard. It's definitely been like memed a little bit before too. Like you've heard that attached to other stuff. But it's just kind of that's always kind of playing when he's doing something much like whereas the James Bond theme sounds like very like masculine or I don't know exactly what word I'm searching for, but it feels like what you expect James Bond to feel like.
Yeah.
That very much feels like a parody of
like
what
goofy
that spy character
spy.
would be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm kind of that's one that I had as like will I have to reach into my honorable mentions to grab that, and I kind of did the way this had to work out, but part of me kind of likes taking it, so
I love it, pal. I am down. I gotta grab an alt now. And I'm down to 2. Actually, I'm technically down to 3, but I don't know what to do here. I am so torn because these are all my alts. So I do love all these that I'm having to pick from now. I'll tell you now because I assume you have some alternates as well that we're going to give some love to. So I will tell you now. I am picking between Davy Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I am picking between...
He's on my honorable mention list.
Sandman from Spider-Man 3. Specifically, the scene of, like, whenever he is, like, forming in, like, the sand pit. I think it's a beautiful theme. And Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Perhaps the best thing from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That and the suit.
Yeah.
I love all of those. I love them so much. Just to give some love to perhaps one of my favorite franchises of all time, I'm going to take Davy Jones.
Yeah.
I like
the pick a lot.
I love the music box at the beginning. Kind of shows how he's kind of like broken as a character, I feel like. But then again, I keep talking about like the instrumentals, but that's what all these are. They're instrumentals.
Yeah. Yep.
When the instrumentals really kick in, and especially like when the Flying Dutchman's just like popping up out of the water to like the Davy Jones theme. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
No, I love it. That's literally, it's really I have a couple that we were kind of talking about at the beginning that I just didn't think quite met the specifications for what we were drafting today. That's the reason I didn't touch them. So really, Davy Jones was the last one I had on my honorable mention list of the ones that I would potentially have taken. I think I would say that's my favorite piece of the Pirate score, like in the whole franchise. Yep. I love it. And part of that might be how I was talking earlier, how a little bit of me is a little sour toward the main theme being lifted from Gladiator. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm just like, I love it. It's great music, but that Davy Jones piece is really, really good. And it kind of captures a little bit of the complexity that is Davy Jones and his character and how he's not just like this pure evil. It kind of shows that a little bit. It kind of shows his softer side a little bit, like you said at the beginning. And
yeah,
I don't know. I really like how it kind of captures his full character. Yeah, big fan. So love it. I'm impressed that we both had that one on there because it felt like more of a out of left field.
Yeah, I love it. With that said, I do have a couple more on my alternate list, but I just listed like 3 of mine. So give some love to some more of your alternates.
Yeah. So like I said, the only ones I had left, from Lord of the Rings, how we said earlier I wasn't going to take it. It is literally called Samwise the Brave, a section of the score toward the end of The Two Towers. It's when Sam is giving his little motivational speech to Frodo. One of the best scenes in the trilogy. It's the music playing at that point. Like I said, the entry is literally called Samwise the Brave. So I was like, but at the same time, like when we were talking about like queuing up the character, it doesn't do that. It's not like Sam doesn't necessarily have music that's like, oh, that's Sam's music.
Yeah.
So I didn't take it. And then the other one, as I mentioned at the beginning, would be Harry Potter's score. I love that. But again, it just didn't feel like it was like, here comes Harry Potter when you hear the notes of that, even though you hear the notes and it's like, here comes Harry Potter, the movie.
Right.
That's great.
Right. The movie.
So it just felt...
Harry Potter, the movie.
Quite feel like here he comes. Didn't quite feel like what we were going for, so I just didn't draft them. But I love both those scores a lot. And those were the ones that where I was like, should I try to fit that within this? But I couldn't bring myself to bend the rules that much.
I think it's fun. I definitely, obviously, I don't know exactly what you're talking about with Sam, but I get it. Like, I get what you're saying. So, like, I would have allowed it, I think. I think it's a fine thing to fit on there. Do you have any more alternates, or was that pretty much swearing out your
That's
list?
all I had written down. That's all I had written down. So,
okay. I had two more. I really dipped from my list and from my alternates. It's kind of obvious. I really dipped into like superheroes or supervillains. But
yeah.
I think with that said, I think if you had to pick a type of character that is definitely going to have like a set theme, it's a superhero or supervillain.
Absolutely. Like, my wife, when I mentioned it, she's like, "Is there anyone that's not a superhero?" And I was like, I started listening. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Right.
But like, I think you're right. I think, especially when you, like we've talked about, like that sense of queuing up a character, like here they come to do something.
Yeah.
It lends itself to the superhero genre. So I think
right.
it's fair.
100%. That being said, one of my alts, you're not going to be surprised about it at all. You actually made fun of me on Twitter about it about a month ago, rightfully so. Give me Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming.
I forgot about that.
I
wasn't making fun of you. I agree. It's great. It's just
great.
funny that it was like your annual tweet.
I don't know why people don't talk about it more. I think like, well, I'm not saying it competes with Jaws or Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. I'm not, but it's freaking great. I think it is sincerely one of the best parts of Spider-Man Homecoming. Which was the first Spider-Man movie we've had in a while. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucked. So Spider-Man Homecoming was like the first Spider-Man movie we had in a while. I just feel like a lot of people kind of overlooked the Vulture theme. I think it's fantastic. And it's kind of horror-y, which I like.
We'll get into plenty, I'm sure, of MCU talk at,
yes.
Full episodes worth. But we both agree, we've talked about this, off air before. But Vulture, everything about Vulture is the best part of that movie. Everything about it. Mm-hmm. Michael Keaton is great. The twist concerning the Vulture, the theme, just the way he looks aesthetically, I love it. He is the best part of that movie all around. So yeah.
As someone who frequently, I'm not saying I overall root for villains, but I like when a villain is an actual threat. I like when a villain is borderline going to win, or maybe should have won, except for certain circumstances.
Or when you can sympathize with like where they're coming from or understand their motivation instead of just like, I want world control or something like that. That's a little bit. That's more boring.
We love a villain with motive in this podcast.
Absolutely.
That still, I've tweeted this before too. It's at that same thing when the Vulture theme is at its peak for me. It's at the very end, the fight on the beach, when he picks up Peter like by the hood and he's just got him dangling like by his hood. He's beaten Spider-Man. He has beaten Spider-Man and is just holding like. I think it's a great still. I freaking love that shot in that movie.
Yeah.
That's great. My last one is my background here, which I expect literally no one to know who that is. That is Metal Bat from One Punch Man, which is the one anime I watch, and I do freaking love One Punch Man. It is great. There's a few themes on that show alone I could pick. Metal Bat's theme, funny enough, we talked about it earlier with Rocky. It's literally called like Fighting Spirit is his theme. And he's one of those characters. This is going to be really random too. I think Lucario, which is technically a Pokemon, but he was in like Smash Brothers, the game. I remember Lucario in his little character description. It said like when he's pushed to the limit, he grows stronger. And I've always loved like that idea of a character of like the more damage they take, the harder they are getting fought against. That's the stronger they are. I like that like trope. It is a trope. I get it. But I like it. Mm-hmm. And that's how Metal Bat is. Metal Bat is like the harder you fight him, the stronger he gets. So he's like one of those characters where like if you want to beat him, you got to fight hard from the start and hope you catch him off guard or something, because otherwise you're not going to beat him. Mm-hmm. So Metal Bat, which I'll throw a little bit of his theme in there. It's freaking great. I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it. Yeah, you're right that I know you've watched that One Punch Man, but I've never seen 10 seconds of it, so I'm not familiar with it. But I based on your other selections, I'm sure it's great. So I'll have to give it a listen.
I like it. I've long said I've had a list, and honestly, maybe one day we can talk about this too. I have a list of like if I were I think the best example is like a batter or a pitcher in the MLB. the MLB for that one person out there that like they have a song that plays. You have a song that plays as you come up to bat. Maybe a UFC fighter, you have like a walkout song. I have a list of like walkout songs. And Metal Bat's theme is like, if I were a baseball player, first off, I think it's kind of funny because he literally wields a baseball bat. But like, it would be like a potential walk-up song for me. So maybe one day we can talk about that. We can talk about like our personal like top 3 or whatever. Like this would be my walk-up song, or this would be my closing song if I were the closer for whatever reason. That'd be something we can talk about.
Absolutely.
Dude, I love these lists. I do yield. I think
they're great.
I yield 100%. I think you won. If this was like a competition, I do think you won. I just think you have so many iconic characters. Meanwhile, my fourth one is Godzilla. Like,
I think you're underestimating how good the Godzilla theme is, though. Honestly, I don't know. I think we both. I mean, the top of your list, though. So, I mean, Jaws might be the most iconic.
I think Vader.
Like, might be. Yeah, I mean they're both. Yeah, I think we have pretty evenly matched lists. Is all I'm saying.
No.
So I don't know.
Disagree. I think you won. Now take it. I do think these are great though. I think these are very.
Okay, I win. I win.
If I have to, I do think these are evident of like our personalities, even too. Like or even like the movies we love to watch or whatever. I think you could watch this. I think I could present these lists and say I picked one of these and Steven picked the other one. Which one picked which, and you would know. You would know who picked what.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Godzilla alone would give it away from you. I feel like, but I'm still. It's bitter for me that you have Superman because I knew that was the one we were both hoping to get more than any of the other ones.
Right.
So that stings. That stings a lot. But overall, I'm happy with the ones I was able to land. But I think your list is great too. And I'm kind of surprised. I feel like there wasn't much of us stealing. I feel like we both kind of got the ones we wanted largely.
Yeah.
You stole Superman from me, and I feel like maybe the Michael Myers one was one that I might have kind of lifted from you. But other than that, I feel like we were both pretty happy with the ones we were able to land. So yeah pretty good.
That's great,
good stuff.
I love this. I'm excited to like splice together little videos of like I did for our TV themes. I'm gonna make little videos of like from 7 to 1 of our picks.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do
that.
Good deal. I'm just excited. I'm happy that we did this.
Me too. It's all you. Your idea here and came together beautifully. So kudos to you.
It's one of my favorite things to do. Like you said, we both love listening to scores and stuff. And I think some of the most recognizable, the most iconic scores are like themes of certain villains or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, like this whole list, including yours, this is like when I say I listen to instrumental. Like I promise you, every single character on that. Maybe not Austin Powers, but like.
Not yet, but it will be now.
It will be now. Every single other character on this list, I listen to their theme frequently.
It's Austin Powers is a good one. You just trust me, go listen to it. It's fun.
Yeah. I'm excited. I love it. Well, pal, as we near the end of this humble episode, you got any other final notes for us?
No, I don't think so. I'm looking forward to whatever we get into next. I feel like every week is something random with no connection to the previous episode. So looking forward to what we cook up for next time.
Our favorite aquatic characters coming up.
That's right.
We actually do it.
Bruce is coming for the hat trick. Yeah.
That said, my final remarks are I absolutely love that our two teams are the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference right now, baby. Go Canes, go Panthers.
That's right.
I freaking love it. I'm so nervous for us to meet. I think we're meeting pretty soon. I think it's by the end of November.
I think we meet. I think it's literally like it might be the last 2 days in November.
Yeah.
They're back to, like we play twice in 2 days.
Yeah. I'm nervous. I'm nervous for that. So excited.
2 huge matchups. I'm pumped. I love hockey season. It's great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. It's 8-game win streak for my Canes.
Y'all are on an 8. We're on a 6. Like we're both like hot right now, dude. We're hot.
Beautiful.
Like, I love it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
love it.
All that to say, love you, hockey. So glad you're back. Time to hunt, baby. Peace.
You're going to make me raise up.
You didn't have to end on that. You're not going to end on your, well, see you later?
All right. Well, see you later.